It's your boy, Just Dom, catching the day's latest news. What's going on around the roads? Find out here first at the TCP Newsbreak.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the TCP Newsbreak. For this newsbreak today, I have a very special guest, Miss Nicole Vasquez, who is a community advocate out in our county area of Lancaster County, in particular Manheim Township. And Nicole does so much in our community that she advocates for women who have experienced stillbirth. She advocates for services to help enhance changes in legislation. So I can't wait to see what some of this additional community advocacy looks like. So Miss Nicole, welcome to the morning show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back here. I love you guys. I love the work you're doing. So I'm always happy to, share things that are happening in the community.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for just continuing to be a, you are like a, you're like those Christmas trees, just strong and sturdy. And you're like, look, I am here and I got this and I love it. And I love the passion that you bring to it. And I couldn't see anybody else doing this out in the Manheim Township area. So I am so glad that you are a part of this. So can you just share with us some things that have been going on in Manheim Township that we should all be aware of or alerted about?
Sure. First, I want to thank you for including the stillbirth advocacy. A lot of times I don't include that when I talk about different things in the community, and I don't know why. So I appreciate that you always remember that and value that. So there's been things going on in Manheim Township. Obviously, there's things going on everywhere right now. But there's been things going on in Township for a long time that nobody has talked about, that nobody has been listening, that just really it seems like nobody cared. I can't say nobody cared because I wasn't here. I don't know what anybody else did, but it seems like nobody has been listening to a number of people that live in this community. And it seems like for a long time that the only voice that has been represented or heard here is like the white voice. That's it. So Township isn't just white anymore. It's not this homogenous, conservative, white area anymore. It's not. We're making Township look different. And I think that it's time that certain things be updated and acclimated to reflect that. I believe there's a lot of white fragility here, and I think that that's impeding a lot of the processes that could be going on. So there was an incident at Skyline Pool where a Black and Latinx family got kicked out of the pool, and the police called on them because of their bathing suit bottoms. There's this new dress code at the pool this year. Apparently there's always been a dress code, but now it includes this no cheeky bottoms. Okay, I have like 100,000 things wrong with this because I'm a Mexican Italian woman, so any bottoms I wear are cheeky. And quite frankly, I like that I'm cheeky. So
what does that mean, cheeky bottoms at a pool? Like,
that's what I'm saying. And who's then gonna decide that? Who's deciding? The white pool manager and teenage boy lifeguards. Now, why are teenage boys being taught that they are to be looking at girls' butts or any other part of their body, really, and that they should have the authority to tell them how they should be dressing? Okay, no. I have.
It sounds like we're teaching misogyny at the workplace.
Right. Like, so there's so many things wrong with this situation. Other white girls got in trouble for their bathing suit bottoms, but there's no process for what to do if this rule is violated, right? So that means the manager of the pool and the staff there get to pick and choose what cheeky means, who fits into that. And so basically they're choosing who they want at the pool. It's, if there are going to be rules, which I don't agree in dress codes for the reasons that they're put there. I think that girls should be taught that their bodies are beautiful. We should cherish what we have. We should value each other instead of worrying that someday we're going to have something bad happen to us because we wore a bathing suit at a pool. That is not the narrative that we need to be teaching our youth. So the police got called. They came to the pool with their hands on their gun and their mace. Okay, they came to the pool because they got called that there was like a violent or threat of violence happening at the pool, which I want to be clear that I was not at the pool, but I have spoken with a lot of people that were at the pool. So anything that I speak about is information that I got firsthand from people that were there. Not that I got offline or heard down the lane. So the mother of one of the girls is Hispanic, okay? She knows that if she goes into a situation like this with a white woman, that she's got to be extra careful. Because if she says the slightest thing that can be interpreted as, it could blow up into a whole other situation. So she didn't. She handled herself appropriately. She asked questions, but she didn't even cuss until she walked away. And that was only because the manager accused her daughter of wearing a thong, which is not what happened. Wow. So the manager is telling the lifeguards her narrative of the story. The lifeguards go to Manheim Township High School. So this problem stems out so much further than just the pool. So there are girls that have been advocating. There was a petition started by some girls about the dress code and that it's not okay that this is happening. Over 600 people signed that petition. Mm-hmm. So there are things happening where people are finally standing up. And I don't know that that's ever been done here before. And so it's time that all of us are standing up, come together so that the systemic change that is needed here happens. This isn't just about a dress code policy, okay? If we're gonna talk about cheeky bottoms, whatever that means tall, skinny girls can come here and that's it. Yeah. So we're body shaming, not to mention that these girls were told that their bodies were offensive. Like, they weren't just, taken aside and said, listen, your bathing suit's too small. No, they were insulted in the process. And that is not what our youth needs. And that's not what, I don't want to live in a district that operates that way.
Yeah.
So cops came, nothing happened because, again, it wasn't a violent situation. The mom and the family, they ended up leaving. They got escorted out. Now, what I've found since then is that if you look up the pool rules on their website, there's like 4 pool rules that are in bold that can require like getting kicked out of the pool or like higher repercussions. Okay, not following the dress code, not one of those rules. So from the get-go, this was handled wrong. I'm also told this policy has been in place for like a very long time. I'd say about a decade, but don't quote me on that. There's no way a decade ago somebody wrote the word cheeky in a policy. How do you change policies without that meaning that you changed the policy and then you've got to vote on a new policy? So I don't think it's very clear how this process works. I don't think it's very clear what is needed to change it and who has that power. Right. And I think that we should be asking people in our community what makes them feel safe. So what makes an older white man feel safe might not be the same thing that makes a young Black girl feel safe. So I think we need to acknowledge that. And I think instead of commissioners or pool managers making more rules behind closed doors, we need to be bringing our community to these conversations.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then that also brings into question the over-sexualization of our children, especially Black and brown children. We look at our kids and we see a child, but somebody else might see, a young adult.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to impact how they treat them and how they respond to them. And I mean, it's in your DNA if you're going to have a big booty.
Right.
Like, and it's not like there are Black owned bathing suit companies that are specializing in, you know, a larger bottom kind of design of an outfit of a bathing suit. And I think that this is something that needs to be empowering. Like, there are no photos of, you know, what does cheeky mean? You know, this is not cheeky, you know, and this is too cheeky. Like, there's not any of that. So then again, all of this is up to the individual, and these individuals are then children themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's also, I'm so sorry. It's also an economic thing.
right.
You know, what if your family doesn't have money to go buy you a new bathing suit and you're wearing your sister's bathing suit from last year and it doesn't fit you perfectly? So now we're allowed to kick you out of a pool?
Yep.
Come on, like we're focusing on things that are not unsafe instead of saying things like, how about we don't bring guns into the pool and we search bags for guns? How about we say no drugs in the pool, so we search bags for syringes? That's unsafe. Those things are unsafe and shouldn't be in the pool. We should be having rules like that, not rules that are deciding what people have to wear, regardless of where you are, honestly, is what I believe. I think that the other thing that I've heard a couple times, which has been frustrating to me, is the words family establishment and moral code. I think those are two things that are code for white, and people don't want to say it.
Okay, you know what? I was thinking similar things, except there was another word next to the white. But yeah.
You know, I just don't believe that we live in a place anymore where the community is supposed to govern how my kids dress. I should be teaching my kids how to dress. We should be fighting as a community for other things, and our kids should be learning morals and values from the way we're coming together to make our community better. That's where they should be learning that from, not because some pool manager is telling them their bathing suit needs to be bigger. Like, don't get me wrong, I am self-conscious. I would never wear a thong to a swimming pool. But why are we at the place where a woman wearing a thong is so threatening to other people? Why are we at a place where if you don't want to see something, that means that person doesn't have to do it? Who are you to tell somebody else how to dress? If you are not comfortable with something, turn around and walk out and go somewhere else. But it's not okay to control it.
But this conversation sounds similar to the conversations of before a woman is raped or after a woman is raped. And it's like, well, what did she have on? What was she doing? And it's like, oh, well, you know, she's at the pool, so she's disrespecting everybody here because her, you know, her cheeks are out. She's too cheeky. And it's like, what? Like, I mean, there are bathing suits that are designed to fit a particular way.
It's true. In all honesty, the style this year, it is smaller than other years, but it's not inappropriate. It's a bathing suit. I was really, so there was an event yesterday morning. It's called Conversation and Coffee with the Commissioners. So they're actually going to have this event every month on the third Saturday from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning. It's going to move locations, so I don't know the location yet for next month. My goal for next month is to get as many people there, because yesterday there were about 12 people. The only people of color there, I was the darkest one, being Mexican and Italian. Everybody else was white. So we need to start advertising these meetings in ways that other people in the community are finding out about them, so that our whole community is represented at these meetings. But I was very impressed because I did speak about dress codes and about how how I feel about them. And afterwards I had an older man who's a father come up to me and say, I just wanted to add on to what you said, that we need to start teaching boys differently. We need to start changing how we teach boys about girls. And if it wouldn't have been COVID, I would have hugged him, because I had a woman online tell me that that women have to watch how they dress, and that she teaches her boys that. And if women dress a certain way, then they deserve like whatever happens to them.
Yeah.
I have 5 daughters. I don't know how much more invested in this I could be. And I'm proud that my 12-year-old knows what rape culture is, and that she knows that what is being done now is not okay. And I'm thankful that I can teach my kids that. But what we need to do is start coming together and making sure that everybody is learning this. The people that are learning the rape culture, we need to start calling that out. We need to start talking about it. Like, that's where we're at, right? We're no longer at a place where we're letting things slide, where we're letting them go because they just don't affect us, or we don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation. So like, no, I'm not in the mood today. No, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
We're being honest, we're being transparent, and we're going to create a community where everybody feels safe here.
Yep. Yep. I think that is awesome. How were you able to find out about these? I guess they're not secret meetings, but they're trying to keep them low key.
So they're not secret and they're not low key. They are not formal meetings. They're just kind of like, a conversation. But I think the problem is that they're advertising them in the normal places they advertise. So like, we know that there's not a lot of people going to the commissioner's website. Okay. Skyline Pool had a handout, but it was laying flat on like the counter. So unless you were like at the counter paying to get in, you didn't see it. It was posted on like the commissioner's Facebook pages, but we're talking about a part of our community that is disenfranchised. They are not connected to the things happening here. So they're not reading those. They don't have access to that. I think I'm the first person really to try to talk to some of these people. Maybe not the first person. I'm sure there's been other people, but maybe I'm just the loudest about it. But people have come out to me, like the library, they've had experiences, all of the different schools, with the police. People have called the police on their white neighbors and nothing gets done.
Oh, wow.
So there's a Hispanic person who walks in their neighborhood and gets the police called on them. Like, this is still happening, and it's still happening here.
Yep.
And that's what people are like so shocked to hear. Like, open your eyes.
Yep.
We are not different from any other place. And it's time to address it and talk to it and bring it out.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you are just speaking out about all of these things, because I remember, when we were out in Manheim Township, that was kind of like a family rule, was that you were not to go outside walking in the neighborhood after dark. Really shouldn't have been outside walking in the neighborhood, but it was even more of an issue if we wanted to do it at nighttime. And it's like, if that's a problem, we shouldn't live here.
I agree. There's people that live here that don't feel safe living here. I have found out in the past couple weeks that there are people that lived here that would have been absolutely phenomenal in getting them involved to, like, in our community. And I didn't find out they lived here till they moved away. So there really just is this disconnect, I think, from a good chunk of people that live here. And I think it's going to take thinking outside the box, coming together, word of mouth. I mean, in 3 days, my video about this got like 3,000 hits, okay? I only had I did not have enough friends that it should have gone that far, okay? But there are enough people here that have experienced this, that are commenting, saying, I grew up there, I went to school there, I still live there. And the only people that seem to be coming back with negative are white. And I don't think that white people get to decide if they're being racist. I think that the people on the opposite side of that behavior get to decide what is happening to them. So a racist isn't gonna call themselves a racist, right? That's like, come on. So the only people speaking out negatively seem to be white. And so I wanna bring that to the table. I want to bring these conversations out. Like, let's talk about them, because education needs to happen. And that's something we need to figure out how we're going to do that, because people don't even realize they need educated.
Yeah.
So, but community education needs to be happening everywhere. If I've seen anything so clearly, it's that there is such a large chunk of people that are uneducated, just completely oblivious to real things happening in the world.
Yeah. Well, Nicole, we are winding down to our last bit of time. Again, can you reiterate how people can find out information about these conversations with the commissioners?
Sure. So the conversations with the commissioners first will be the third Saturday of every month from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning. The location will move. I will always post it on my page. It is also posted, it was in the newspaper. It was on the commissioners' individual Facebook pages. It was posted on the Manheim Township Democratic page. So those are all resources. If people want to keep up with what's happening here, or have questions or experiences that they want to talk about, I am more than willing. I mean, you can friend me on Facebook. You can email me at nleejackson619@gmail.com. But I really want this to be a time that experiences that have never been validated before are. And that I am Mexican and Italian, but I was brought up white. So this is how I use my white privilege to get people to listen to what is happening. But it's not my talking that is going to do it. I need people's experiences. I need people that are willing to come forward and talk too, so that collectively we can make this change.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with everyone, Nicole. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share?
The last thing I wanted to say is I forgot to mention earlier that the Black Lives Matter signs in Grandview Heights neighborhood were vandalized 2 nights ago. And so this is just another piece of why it's so important that we be doing these things here. It's just another piece to show how needed this education and this advocacy and this work needs done in Manheim Township as well as everywhere else.
Oh man, I wonder what that'll mean for the schools moving forward, because that seems to be also another conversation that everybody's moving towards, curriculum and what's that going to look like. Since we're talking about pushing this envelope as far as Black lives, what does that look like in education as well?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning into the Newsbreak. Stay tuned for the rest of the TCP in the Morning Show.
It's your boy, Just Dom, catching the day's latest news. What's going on around the roads? Find out here first at the TCP Newsbreak.